This is Algebra 1 EOC Practice Test, Part 3, picking up on number 43. Question asked, says Juan measured this volume in this graduated cylinder. Which of the following gives the best measurement of the volume using the correct number of significant digits? You can see that all of the answers are right. They're all 8, 8.1, 8.14, and 8.145. You just want to use the correct amount of significant digits. You can see how many marks are above 8 before you get to 9. There are 10. So that means that it's going to the 10th place, which is one past the decimal. So the 8.1 is the correct answer. 43 asks you for the domain. It says f of x equals 2 plus the square root of x plus 4. Remember, all domain is your x values. And anytime you see something that says f of x, that just means y. So y equals 2 plus the square root of x plus 4. So your domain is any x value that you can plug in order to make this, to give you an output value that'll give you what you need. What it needs to be greater than -4, because anything, the reason that is, because anything you plug in here that's less than -4, let's say, for example, you plugged in -5, you would get the square root of a -1. We're not talking about imaginary numbers in here. This is not possible. Therefore, it has to be greater than -4, because that'll give you 0 or something higher under that radical. Therefore, your domain, like it says, x is greater than or equal to -4. Number 45 says CJ is able to read 42 pages in 35 minutes. How long will it take to read 150 pages? Okay, well, 40, write this as a proportion. Anytime you have a problem like this, write it as a proportion. It takes 35 minutes, and I'm only writing it this way so it'll set up a little bit easier. Let's do it this way. This way we're not confused. 42 pages equals 35 minutes. That's exactly how it's written. So how long will it take? How long will it take to write 100 or to read 150 pages? So 42 over 150 equals 35 over x. Cross multiply. 42 times x is 42x. And 150 times 35. Okay, now we got it. 5250 for that one. So 42x equals 5250. And then in order to get how long it takes, divide by 42. And when you divide that by 42, you get 125. So it's going to take 125 minutes to read 150 pages for CJ. Number 46 says the graph below shows the cost of shipping company charges to send a package based on its weight. It says which of the following equations expresses the cost C as a function of the package's weight W. Okay, so as you can see, the more the weight goes, we get positive, it's negative there. As the weight goes up, the cost goes up. It starts at $1 and it goes up 0.2 for every pound of weight. You can see it doesn't have any numbers, it doesn't have any points highlighted, but you can see this one crosses through on an intersection here. Same thing, it'll cross through here as well. It's going up 0.2 for every one. Therefore, the slope of it is going to be 0.2. It's going up for every one. So since you have your slope and you have your y-intercept of 1, that's your b value is 1 or 1.0, write this as an equation. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals m's value is 0.2x plus b is plus 1. So just substituting in c for y and w for x. C equals 0.2w plus 1. The last option is the correct one. Number 47 says, what is the x value? You have a system of equations. 2x minus 5y equals 2, negative 4x plus 3y equals 10. You can use substitution or you can use elimination. This one's set up easier to use elimination. We can see we have a 2x and we have a negative 4x. We want to eliminate those. They set up the easiest to eliminate. All we have to do is multiply the top equation by 2. When we multiply that by 2, we get 4x. Notice we just made opposite x, 4x and negative 4x. That's what we were looking for. But you can't just multiply it by that one. You have to multiply it by this one and by this one. Now we have two equations that we can eliminate one of the variables. When you combine 4x and negative 4x, you get no more x's. We eliminated them. That was the goal. 3y and negative 10y is negative 7y, and 10 and 4 is 11. I'm sorry, is 14. 10 and 4 is 14. Get y by itself by dividing by negative 7, and y's value is negative 2. So we got y's value. Notice that's one of the options, B. That's not the right answer, though. It asks us for what is the x value. So take one of the other equations, substitute in negative 2, substitute the y value. So 2 times x minus 5 times our new value of y is negative 2 equals 2. I just plugged it back into that first equation. Simplify this one. 2x negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10 equals 2. Get rid of positive 10 by subtracting it on both sides. 2x equals negative 8, and then divide by 2 to get x by itself. X equals negative 4. That's the first option for x's value, negative 4. Then this is something we hadn't really gone over, but you can just follow along with what it's saying. There's a picture that looks like this. I didn't map it in exactly the right spots, but you ought to be able to see it close enough. It says which one is not on the flight path. Well, 2.6, I'm sorry, not 2.6, 2.6 would be at 2's value and 6's value, so it's like right there. 3 1's there, 1, 2, 3, and it's like right there. And then the last one, 6, negative 1. At 6, negative 1, it's right there. So those three are. But the one, negative 4, 2, if you go to negative 4 and positive 2, it's going to come out right here. That's not on his path. So it says which one's not on his path. You ought to be able to figure that out really easy. 49 tells you to describe the relationship of these two linear functions. It says which one describes it. The very first one, it says they are perpendicular and they have the same y-intercept. Remember, anytime you see f of x like this, you could look at that as if it said y equals negative 2x plus 9 and y equals 1/2 x plus 9. Notice the plus 9 is the same. The y-intercept is the same. So if you said they had a different y-intercept, you can clearly see b's values the same. Then look at the two slopes. One of them is 1/2. The other one is negative 2. If they were parallel lines, they would have the same slope. They would both say negative 2, or they would both say 1/2. If they were not parallel or perpendicular, they would intersect at one point. They could have any slopes. It didn't matter. But these are special case. Negative 2 is the same thing as over 1. You can make everything a fraction by putting it over 1. Remember, perpendicular lines have the negative reciprocal. That means negative 2 flips over and becomes negative 2 over 1 over negative 2. And then it goes from being negative to positive. And you can see that that's the case between negative 2 and 1/2. They are perpendicular. So the first option, perpendicular with the same y-intercept, is the best option there. Number 50 says an n-sided cube is rolled 120 times, and all of them have an equal amount of chances to come up. Then it says the number 3 lands face up 8 times. That number 3 is irrelevant to this question. It's just the number that it's talking about. 120 rolls divided by 8 is going to get you that it is a 15-sided cube. This was key, that they were equally likely to come up. 51 says simplify the expression. Remember, do what's inside parentheses first, 18x minus 9y. You can't take 9y away from 18x. But it says divide by 3 squared. So before we do any division, we want to do the exponent. 3 squared is 9. So now we have 18x minus 9y. And this is a little bit of a different looking problem than we normally see. Normally we have something right next to parentheses which tells us to multiply or distribute to what's inside. Division works the same way. You kind of like distribute divide by 9 to both of these. So 18x divided by 9 is 2x. Negative 9y divided by 9 is negative 1y. And then just bring the rest of it plus 3x. So you have, I thought I made a mistake right there. I boxed the wrong answer. But this is correct what we have here. So take 2x and 3x. When you put those two together, you get 5x minus 1y. You don't have to write in that 1 right there. The second option, one that says 5x minus y, is correct. 52 says which one's not a function. We looked at, earlier in this test, we looked at the vertical line test. This is as if these functions are mapped. So if you wanted to do this and then draw the arrows from each of them, you can. Some people felt better doing that earlier. The key, though, is if you look at this very last one, we have 2 represented twice in the x values or the domains. 2 has 8 it's related to and 1. That can't happen. If that were mapped out, it would look like this. 2 and negative 3, you wouldn't write 2 twice. You would write 1, 4, and 8 here. And then there would be 2 arrows that leaves that shows to 1 and that shows to 8. This is the thing, remember, that can't happen. That makes it not a function. The x can have one and only one y value. Therefore, the last one is the one that's not a function. And then finally, number 53. It says f of x equals x minus 9. Jaden then graphs a second function, g of x, that's found by shifting the graph up 10 units upward and doubling its slope. So if it goes up 10 units, the b value is going to go up 10 units. So if it goes up 9, it's going to get to 0. If it goes up 1 more, it'll be positive 1. So the b value is going to be positive 1. And it says double the slope. Well, the slope is 1. It's not shown. But if it doubles, the m value is going to become 2. So y equals mx, 2x, plus 1. It's your new slope. Or how Jaden graphed it, g of x equals 2x plus 1.